Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we're diving into something absolutely massive. We are taking a deep, structured look into the anatomy of a true sporting phenomenon. We're talking about the totally unprecedented legacy of Cristiano Ronaldo. Whether you followed his entire career from day one, or you just know the legendary number 7, This Explainer is designed to systematically decode exactly how a young kid from Madeira transformed into the ultimate global football icon. We're going to break down the data, the historical milestones, and those defining, jaw-dropping moments that built the mythos of CR7. Let's get into it. Okay, let's dive into this. Following his absolutely breathtaking debut for Manchester United against Bolton Wanderers, the legendary George Best, a man who, of course, wore that exact same iconic number 7 shirt, delivered this massive praise. Best actually stated it was the most exciting debut he had ever seen. I mean, think about that. When a footballing immortal says being compared to an 18-year-old kid is a compliment to me, you instantly know you are witnessing the birth of undeniable, legendary potential. Here's the roadmap for our explainer today. We'll start with 1, the making of CR7, then move to 2, the Real Madrid machine, 3, anatomy of a classic, 4, international glory and records, and finally, 5, the ultimate football legacy. Part 1, the making of CR7, from Sporting to Manchester United. To really understand the machine he became, we have to look at the foundation. Look at this rapid progression. In just a handful of years, Ronaldo went from making his professional debut for Sporting CP in 2002 to completely dazzling Sir Alex Ferguson and earning a Manchester United transfer in 2003. And then, by 2008, he's universally recognized as the best player on the planet, securing his first Ballon d'Or. This timeline shows us exactly how quickly he adapted to the brutal physical demands of English football and established absolute dominance across Europe. The undisputed peak of this English chapter was his 42 goals across all competitions in the 2007-8 season. And why does this matter so much? Because this jaw-dropping statistic proved he wasn't just a flashy winger throwing stepovers anymore. Actually, scratch that. He still had the flair, but he had evolved into a lethal, history-making goal scorer. This massive haul brought United a Premier League title, a Champions League trophy where, by the way, he scored in the final, and earned him that elusive first Ballon d'Or. Moving right along to part 2, the Real Madrid machine rewriting the record books. Ronaldo wasn't content with just conquering England. In the summer of 2009, he moved to Spain for a staggering world record £80 million. So the crucial point is the incredibly heavy weight of that price tag and the suffocating pressure of walking into the Santiago Bernabeu. I mean, most players would completely crumble under that kind of spotlight. But Ronaldo? He viewed it as a mission. And this is exactly how he responded to all that pressure. 450 goals for Real Madrid. 450. Just let the sheer volume of that output sink in for a second. It's a level of production that totally redefined the metrics of modern forward play and relentlessly pushed the boundaries of what anyone thought a forward could actually achieve in modern football. No way around it, it's just absurd. To really put that into perspective, let's look at the legendary Raul. Raul was Real Madrid's all-time top scorer with 323 goals, which was incredible. But it took him 741 games, over 16 years to do it. Ronaldo completely shattered that record. He scored 450 goals in just 438 games. He eclipsed Raul's entire lifetime of work in barely over half the matches. Averaging more than a goal a game over a 9-year period, it is simply mind-boggling efficiency. Which brings us to part 3, anatomy of a classic, the 2018 Juventus bicycle kick. You know, if you really want to understand the pure athleticism and the predatory instincts of Cristiano Ronaldo, you just have to zoom in on the 2018 Champions League quarterfinal against Juventus. Even Zinedine Zidane, his manager at the time and the architect of one of the greatest Champions League goals in history himself, was absolutely floored by what he witnessed. Zidane literally just put his hand to his head in pure disbelief. When you leave a footballing genius like Zidane speechless, you know for sure you've done something superhuman. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the anatomy of how this masterpiece actually happened. It starts with a long cross from Marcelo that skips off the wet pitch. This causes a really rare moment of hesitation and defensive panic between veteran Italians, Giorgio Chiellini and Gianluigi Buffon. Chiellini pokes it away, causing a mad scramble, and somehow, In the absolute chaos of the penalty box, the Juventus defenders managed to lose track of the most lethal striker in history. Carvajal lofts across toward the penalty spot, and Ronaldo perfectly executes a meticulously choreographed bicycle kick. But let's talk about the physics of this for a second. To strike that ball, Ronaldo executed a 78-centimeter vertical leap. To put that into context, the average vertical leap of an NBA basketball player is 71 centimeters. Ronaldo cleared 78 centimeters to meet the ball cleanly. It showcased a gravity-defying athletic prowess that was so undeniably spectacular, it actually earned him a standing ovation from the opposing Juventus fans. Just incredible. All right, part 4, International Glory and Records, Conquering Europe with Portugal. Beyond everything he did at the club level, Ronaldo possessed this relentless, burning desire to bring a major trophy home to his country. And the narrative arc here is practically cinematic. Back in 2004, a 19-year-old Ronaldo was left in tears of agony after Portugal suffered a heartbreaking defeat to Greece in the European Championship final, right on their home soil. For 12 long years, he carried that weight, constantly aiming to prove the doubters wrong. And finally, at Euro 2016 in Paris, those tears of agony were replaced by tears of joy, as Portugal claimed their first major international trophy by taking down France. But you know what makes that 2016 final victory even more incredible? This specific anecdote right here. Ronaldo suffered a heavy tackle and was actually stretchered off the pitch in tears just 25 minutes into the match. His night playing was completely over. Yet he refused to let his team give up. With a heavily strapped knee, he stood in the technical area alongside the manager, passionately coaching, directing, and shouting encouragement to his teammates from the sidelines, until Eder scored the extra-time winner. It showed us that his leadership extended far, far beyond his physical play on the pitch. And this brilliantly illustrates his ultimate international legacy, which is just as staggering. For years and years, Iran's Ali Daei held the seemingly untouchable record of 109 international goals. Ronaldo didn't just pass it. He blasted right through it to reach 143. He is so far ahead of the pack, it's almost difficult to comprehend. I mean, for context, Portugal's previous record holder, Paletta, sits at 47. Ronaldo has effectively tripled that number. Finally, part 5, the ultimate football legacy, a career like no other. Summarizing his status in the absolute GOAT conversation requires looking at the sheer volume of his durability. Over 2 decades of international football, he has amassed 226 caps and those 143 goals. He scored an astonishing 10 international hat-tricks. And his favorite opponent? Luxembourg, against whom he has found the back of the net 11 times. What we're looking at here isn't just raw talent. You are looking at the insane consistency, the durability, and the elite longevity required to post these kinds of numbers year after year after year. And then there's the trophy cabinet, an unparalleled haul. 5 Ballon d'Or awards crowning him the absolute best player in the world, 5 Champions League titles, making him the first player in the modern era to reach that massive milestone. He conquered Europe with his country not once but twice, winning Euro 2016 and the 2019 Nations League. And of course, being the first player to ever shatter that 100-goal mark in the Champions League, it's a mountain of achievements that essentially defines what it means to be the ultimate football superstar. So what does this all mean? We've seen the mind-bending statistics, the physics-defined goals, and the sheer force of will that transformed a talented kid into a sporting titan. When you really sit back and consider his relentless drive and his totally unprecedented longevity at the absolute pinnacle of the sport, it leaves us with one big question. Will any athlete in any generation ever truly match the legacy of Cristiano Ronaldo? Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer. See you next time.